In 2014, on the Adelaide River, in Australia's Northern Territory, a boat full of tourists watched an animal do something that, by every rule they thought they understood, it was not supposed to be able to do. Rising out of the brown water was a saltwater crocodile named Brutus, an enormous, battle-scarred male stretching around 5.5 meters, and thought by the operators who knew him to be as old as 80, and clamped sideways in his jaws, thrashing, was a bull shark, not a fish. A shark, an apex predator in its own right, an animal built to be the thing other creatures fear, held helplessly across the mouth of something bigger and older and stronger, while the crocodile used sheer brute force to subdue it and feed. The guide, a man who had spent years on that river, said he had never seen one of his crocodiles catch a shark before. For the tourists, it was the sight of a lifetime, the kind of thing you describe to strangers for years afterward. For Brutus, it was simply lunch. The footage went around the world because it looked like a fluke, a freak collision of two worlds that should never overlap. It was not a fluke. What that boatload of tourists had actually filmed was a single frame of a border war that has been running, quietly, in the rivers of northern Australia for longer than there have been people to watch it. And to understand it, you have to start with a question that sounds almost absurd. What was a shark doing in a river in the first place? Let's meet the two animals fighting over this water, because they are both, in their own domain, kings. Northern Australia is laced with rivers and estuaries where the sea pushes inland and the water turns warm, murky, and brackish, neither fully salt nor fully fresh. And this is one of the most dangerous stretches of water on the planet. The first king is the saltwater crocodile, the largest living reptile on Earth. A big male can exceed 5 meters and weigh more than a ton. He carries one of the most powerful bites ever measured in any living animal, and he is, without qualification, the deadliest predator in Australia, responsible for more human deaths than any other animal on the continent. His lineage has held this exact niche, almost unchanged, since before the dinosaurs disappeared. He is not a competitor in these waters. He is the landlord. Everything about him is oversized. The armored body, the tail that drives him through the water like a battering ram, the jaws that can hold a struggling animal under until it drowns. The second king is smaller, but do not mistake smaller for lesser. The bull shark runs from around 1.5 meters to well over 2 meters. It is thick, aggressive, and powerful, and it is one of the so-called Big Three, the 3 shark species responsible for the most attacks on humans, alongside the great white and the tiger. It is stocky and blunt-nosed and built for close, dirty, shallow water combat rather than the open ocean speed of a great white, and it thrives in exactly the murky coastal water where people swim. Two apex predators, then, forced to share a single stretch of contested water. And here is the first honest thing that has to be said, the thing that separates this story from the fake wars you have seen elsewhere. Most of the time when these two cross paths, nothing happens at all. They register each other and they move on. The violence is the exception, not the rule. And any video that tells you these two animals are locked in constant savage combat is selling you a fantasy. Two apex predators sharing a territory mostly do what apex predators do. They avoid the cost of fighting something that could hurt them. But the fact that they are sharing this water in the first place is the strangest part of the whole thing, and it points straight back to that absurd question. Because a shark, by everything we know about sharks, should not be able to be here. Here is the problem. The ocean is salty, and a shark's body is built for salt. The water inside a shark's cells is carefully balanced against the seawater outside it, and that balance is life or death, governed by one of the most relentless forces in biology, osmosis, the tendency of water to move across a membrane from where salt is scarce to where salt is concentrated. In the sea, a shark holds that balance. But drop an ordinary shark into fresh water, into a river, and the balance shatters. Now the shark's body is the salty side, and the fresh water outside comes flooding in, rushing across every membrane, swelling the cells, diluting the blood, overwhelming the organs. For almost every shark on Earth, a river is not a habitat. It is a death sentence, and a fairly quick one. Most sharks that stray into a river mouth turn back long before the water goes fully fresh, because their own bodies warn them, in the most fundamental chemical terms, that they are approaching a boundary they cannot cross. Which is what makes the bull shark so extraordinary, and what makes this entire border war possible. Because the bull shark is one of the very few sharks in the world, and by far the most accomplished of them, that carries what amounts to a biological passport into fresh water. It is not immune to osmosis. Nothing is. Instead, it fights osmosis actively, constantly, with a suite of physiological machinery most sharks simply do not have. Its kidneys work overtime to recycle and adjust the balance of salts and to flush out the flood of excess water. A specialized gland near its tail, the rectal gland, helps dump excess salt when it is in the sea and shuts down its work when it is in fresh water. And it carefully controls the levels of urea and other compounds in its blood, dialing them up and down to keep the osmotic pressure survivable as the salinity around it changes. None of this is free. Holding that balance costs the bull shark a constant, invisible expenditure of energy, an effort that runs the entire time it is in fresh water, the biological equivalent of swimming against a current that never stops. It is not that fresh water is comfortable for the bull shark. It is that the bull shark is willing and able to pay a price no other shark will pay. The result is an animal that can do what almost no other shark can even attempt. It can swim out of the ocean, cross the brackish estuary, and keep going, upstream, into pure fresh water, hundreds of kilometers inland if the river allows it. Bull sharks have turned up staggering distances up the world's great rivers, far from any coast, appearing in inland waters so remote that the people who found them there struggled to believe a shark could have made the journey at all. And in northern Australia, that passport carries the bull shark directly into the one place a shark has no business being, the freshwater heart of the crocodile's kingdom. The shark did not wander into this war by accident. It evolved the single key that unlocks the door, and it walked in. And that reframes the entire conflict. Because now you can see that this is not a fight in a ring. It is a dispute over a border, a contested frontier between two overlapping kingdoms. And the border moves depending on where you stand. Think of the water as a gradient, running from the open sea at one end to the freshwater river at the other, with the murky, brackish estuary in between. In the turbid shallows, the crocodile is untouchable. This is his ground. He is a master of the ambush, holding motionless in water so clouded with silt that nothing can see him coming, exploding out of stillness with a speed that does not fit his size, relying on patience and cover, and a single catastrophic strike. In that murky, shallow, tangled water, no shark alive can beat a large saltwater crocodile, and the shark knows it. A bull shark that lingers in the shallows, in daylight over a silt bottom, is a bull shark gambling with the worst odds it will ever face. But follow the gradient the other way, and the arithmetic changes. Where the water deepens and opens out, where it turns dark with night rather than with mud, the crocodile begins to lose his edge. His whole strategy depends on ambush, on shallow cover and a short, explosive lunge. And in open, deep water there is nowhere to hide and no bottom to launch from. There, the shark's endurance, its maneuverability, and its speed start to count for more. And a crocodile far from the bank, in open water, is a crocodile fighting on someone else's terms. Night tilts the balance the same way, stripping away the visual advantage and handing the water to whichever animal is more comfortable hunting blind. And then there is the far end of the gradient, the freshwater upstream, and this is the shark's masterstroke. By pushing into fresh water, the bull shark reaches hunting grounds where it faces no competition from any other shark, because no other shark can follow. It has used its passport to claim territory the crocodile must share with nothing else that swims like it. Upriver, in the fresh water, the bull shark can hunt fish and rays, and whatever else the river offers, without a single rival of its own kind for company. And it can raise the next generation in nurseries, far from the sharks and predators of the open coast. The freshwater reach is not just a place it can survive. It is a place it can prosper, precisely because almost nothing else with fins can reach it there. So the border between these two kingdoms is not a line. It is a shifting front, drawn by depth, by light, by the salt content of the water itself. And each king rules the ground that suits his weapon. The war is not about who is stronger. It is about who controls which stretch of a single contested river. But sometimes the border does not hold, and the two kings meet head-on. And when that happens, we should be honest about how it ends, because the honesty is more compelling than any invented suspense. When a large saltwater crocodile and a bull shark collide directly, in the crocodile's water, it is not a duel between equals. It is a heavyweight against a lightweight, and it is not close. A 5-meter crocodile weighing over a ton against a 2-meter shark is a mismatch of raw mass so extreme that the outcome is rarely in doubt. The crocodile can outweigh the shark by 10 to 1 or more, and in a collision between two bodies, mass is the currency that settles almost everything. Above a certain size of crocodile, the studies of what these animals eat find nothing in the bull shark's range, with a meaningful chance against it in a straight confrontation. This is where the crocodile's biology stops being background and becomes the whole story, because everything about him is built for exactly this moment. He does not chase, he waits, submerged and invisible in the silt, until the distance is nothing, and then he strikes, and the strike ends most encounters before they begin. There is no warning, no circling, no contest of nerve. There is stillness, and then there is a shark in the jaws of something it never saw. That bite, among the strongest ever recorded in a living animal, clamps down with a pressure the shark's body simply cannot resist. And then comes the move that finishes it, the death roll, the crocodile boat. Not a lucky grab, but the predictable result of what happens when a shark strays into the way. In the direct clash, in the murky, shallow water, the crocodile wins, and it wins convincingly, and it eats the shark. But, and this is the crucial thing, that clash is only one battle in a much larger war, and winning it is not the same as winning the river. Because the bull shark was never trying to win the head-on fight. That was never its strategy, and it was never its strength. The shark's victory is of a completely different kind. It is the only fish that can invade the crocodile's freshwater. Doing so, it takes for itself a kingdom the crocodile cannot monopolize. The crocodile wins the collision, the shark wins the frontier. And the fact that both of these things are true at once is exactly why this is a border dispute and not a bracket, why the rotators safely outside it. These same warm, murky rivers, the contested ground between these two kings, are the water that people swim in, fish in, and wade through across northern Australia. The saltwater crocodile is the deadliest animal on the continent. The bull shark is one of the 3 most dangerous sharks in the world, and they overlap in precisely the shallow, silty, brackish water where humans are most likely to enter. When you stand at the edge of one of these rivers, you are not looking at an abstract contest between two animals. You are looking at what hides both animals from a person wading in up to their knees. And the tragedies that result are why locals treat these rivers with a caution that can look, to outsiders, like fear. It is not fear. It is arithmetic. The war in these rivers is not a metaphor, and it is not a game. It is a real ecological frontier, disputed every single day, in water we ourselves keep wading into. So look again at that footage of Brutus, the old crocodile with a shark in his jaws, and you will see something other than a freak event. You will see the moment the border was enforced. One frame out of a conflict that stretches up and down every tidal river in the north, and back through more time than we can easily hold in our heads. The bull shark is not the crocodile's equal in a fight, and it never will be. But it is the only animal of its kind bold enough and strange enough to force the question at all, the single shark on Earth that looked at the domain of the most dangerous predator in Australia and, armed with nothing but a quirk of its own physiology, decided to invade it anyway. Every other shark in the ocean accepted the boundary that osmosis draws between salt water and fresh. This one alone refused it, and in refusing it, swam straight into the throne room of a king that could kill it, and made a home there regardless. The border is not respected here. It is contested, endlessly, by a fish that should not be able to be in the river and a reptile that has ruled it since before the dinosaurs fell. And that reptile is the real mystery still waiting at the bottom of this story. Because the saltwater crocodile does not just win its fights. It has been winning them, in more or less the same body, for a span of time that beggars belief. Sitting at the top of these rivers, while the entire world above the waterline was destroyed and rebuilt around it. It watched the asteroid fall. It watched the great reptiles vanish. And it simply kept going, unchanged, for tens of millions of years. up to this very afternoon on the Adelaide River. How an animal survives that long, what it actually takes to outlast a mass extinction and still be the king of anything at all, is a question with an answer almost no one has heard, and it has very little to do with strength or size. And that is exactly where we are going next.